Hey everyone, welcome back to Tea and Therapy, and I'm sorry again, it's been a minute since I've done a video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about compliancy. You know, how compliant we are, whether it be in friendships, relationships, whether bullying is part of that as well. So this is something that you struggle with in struggling, whether you are someone that's always compliant, whether you're somebody that really struggles to deal with, whether somebody else, you feel like somebody else needs to be that way in a relationship. Whatever form that comes in, this could be the video for you. So if you want to join this, then sit back, relax, and let's dive right in. One of the things that comes up in discussion points within the therapeutic relationship is compliance. Now, a lot of people talk about this and they don't really understand necessarily what it means and how it applies to certain relationships. And it can happen everywhere. And it's not just in relationships, friendships, family, it's in life in general. In some areas, we feel that we have to be compliant, say when you go to work and you have to be compliant because there's rules that we have to follow. You know, there's certain things that I have to do. There are guidelines. So in a way, there's a compliancy within following guidelines, like when I work within therapy or when I'm doing YouTube channels. And these are things that are fairly normal and okay, and we expect those because you know otherwise there would be anarchy everywhere. However, when it comes to relationships, friendships, family, this is when it can become a bit of a grey area because a lot of people don't understand what is okay, what feels like something that, you know, is it okay to be compliant in certain aspects of those relationships, or is there times when it's not? So a lot of the time when you're working with somebody like I do, I always try to find out what someone's boundaries are. Do they have boundaries? Some do, some don't. And I think a lot of people struggle with putting in boundaries and understanding that they're expecting somebody to respect those boundaries. And again, that could be a form of compliancy. So if you're saying to somebody, right, this is my boundary, I expect this, you're then expecting that person to stick to that, to not cross that boundary, to not try and move it some way. But then you're then having the fact that the other person could also struggle with this. It's like, well, I feel like I'm being told what to do. I feel like I'm being compliant and I don't want to be. So where does it feel that it's okay and where does it feel that it's not? So when you are forming, say, your boundary, when you are deciding that you want to be in a relationship with somebody, but there's just certain things that are no-go areas, and they could be simply, for example, like when I text you, I really would like you to text back straight away or within the next hour. Now, to somebody else, that could seem as if that's really unreasonable. And what you'll then have is, especially if you haven't sorted this out in the very beginning, and this is something then that's dropped in, say, 6 months later, where you suddenly start behaving a certain way because the person isn't texting you back or they're leaving text for a long time, and you start getting upset. And then the other person will come in and say, well, you know, I had no idea. Why are you getting upset? The problem is that you haven't put that boundary in the beginning, and so the person doesn't know. But say you even have, and then you've got somebody that, say, in the beginning of the relationship is okay with it and then starts to not be okay with it because they feel that it's being compliant in some way, like it's like you're forcing me into something. I think the key thing is to remember is that you're not forcing anyone to do anything. What you're saying is, this is what I feel comfortable with right now, and I'm asking you, because I'm on this journey, is for you to be okay with that. Now, if the other person isn't okay with it, then if they then decide that they are, even though they're not, then in a way they're forming a compliance. So that I'm complying with what you want, but I'm not really comfortable with it. But if they don't have that conversation with you, then this can form resentment. And that becomes a problem. When you're starting out in any form of relationship, friendship, you know, what you're in a way saying is, this is me, I'm accepting you for you, and we're going to form a friendship, relationship, whatever it is around that. And it is about being open and honest in the beginning. if you're not open and honest in the beginning, then that is when problems can arise, because you're then setting up a false narrative of what this friendship relationship is about. So as much as this person is coming in and accepting you, they're accepting the version that you've presented. So if you're setting up a false version, this is the version they've accepted. So then when you then get comfortable and that real version of you comes out, problems can arise, because that person will feel that they've been lied to. Now, the problem you then have is if you're in a relationship where, say, a narcissist. Now, as most of us know, a narcissist comes in with a version of themselves. They form a version of love bombing, whether they're extrovert. They could also come in as a covert narcissist, where they will actually feel that they need you, so you'll feel needed in some way. Now, the problem you have is if you're coming from a place of trauma a lot of the time, or you believe this version, you will suddenly start to become compliant to that version of them. So you'll start settling into, this is the version of them, and you fall in love with that version. Now, the problem you have with a narcissist is that they will then start to test you. They will test the waters to see how compliant you are. So you will have certain things that will happen. They will start with some manipulation, gaslighting. They will start with questioning certain things. And if you are challenged by that, if you suddenly kind of, something like your spidey senses are going off and you're kind of going, I'm not sure about that, you then challenge them. Now, the problem you have with a narcissist there is that they won't like to be challenged. So what you will have is that they will form something to either manipulate you back, or they will see this as a challenge of like, this is a way of, this is someone that's fairly strong and we need to wear them down. So that's why you will become then a challenge to them. Now, the point at that moment is for you to not second guess yourself. And the problem you have is that a lot of people do. If you carry on with the compliance, if you carry on accepting that that's who they are, the narcissist will then realize that they've got you. And even though they will do these various little tests at some point to see what they can get away with, if they get away with it, then they've got you. And that's when, once they're secure, once they're in, you will then start to see that the mask will slip. And it will start to slip more often. The more they become involved in the relationship, the more they get away with. And for people that say, well, how do I stop that? Believe you me, it's not easy, because a narcissist can play this game for a long time. The point is knowing yourself. So when a narcissist comes in and tries to do the manipulation and the gaslighting, you know yourself so well that they can't get away with it, and that you're willing to walk away, because that's the biggest thing here. If you are too scared of being alone, if you don't want to be on your own, a narcissist will somehow know this. And that's why I always believe it is so incredibly important when you come out of a relationship, especially one that's had an element of trauma attached to it, where there's been some dysfunction or toxicity, is to spend time with yourself, working through things, so you understand why you got into that situation in the first place. And not only that, why you stayed for as long as you did, because there would be reasons. And once you start to work through those things and you've spent enough time on your own, you're not then compliant to anybody. So when somebody else comes into your life and they start showing the little red flags or the whatever, or crossing those boundaries that you've put in, you are not going to feel worried about kind of questioning that and going, whoa, hang on a minute. This is not okay, and I'm not cool with that. Now, if the person is a fairly healthy, functioning person, and they've worked on themselves as well, it's possible that they could also mess up and get things wrong. But the difference being is that they're going to be also okay with that, and they're going to respect that about you. And they're going to say things along the lines of, you know what, I'm really sorry, I forgot, or I didn't realise. Let me work on that so this doesn't happen again. And it's a communication between the two of you. When you have somebody that then tries to tell you that you're wrong or you're sensitive, because it's the classic ones, oh, you're being oversensitive, you're being overdramatic, you're thinking too much into that, that all that's doing is devaluing your thoughts and your feelings. You can be however you choose to be. in a healthy way, of course. But so can the other person. So when it comes down to, like, I've gone back to, like, say, in the compliance aspect, you can put in boundaries, but the other person doesn't have to be compliant. What they can say is, you know what, I respect your boundaries. However, they're actually not something that I'm comfortable with. You know, might be because of my job. My job means that I'm not able to text back straight away. Sometimes I have to leave it till the end of the day. And then you can then make that decision whether you're going to compromise on your boundary and say, you know what, actually, I respect that. And actually, that's something that I can work on. Or you're going to go, I appreciate that, but I'm really sorry. But this is something that just wobbles me so much, and it creates me to feel anxious that I have to find somebody that's okay with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's all about give and take. But whenever you put in boundaries, you have to respect that there might be somebody that might be a really nice person, but they don't want to respect your boundaries because it clashes with their own. And that's what compliancy means. It means that if you're doing things and you're creating yourself to, in a way, fit square peg round hole, you're being compliant to their needs rather than looking at your own. It's okay to say no. It's okay to question. It's okay to say, you know what, I'm willing to walk away from this because this doesn't fulfill me. This doesn't create contentment. And it's not just about happiness, because happiness it comes and goes. You know, for me, it's about that contentment, that inner peace that you feel with somebody. You can have external issues, but you two as a couple or as a friendship are good. You can have disagreements, but you're still good. You still love and respect each other. If you're starting to change yourself, to mold yourself, to be compliant in a relationship and friendship, there lies the problem. And if you feel that you're somebody that does that, then what I would suggest is before you enter any relationship, friendship, etc., that's something that you work on to find out why you're doing it. You know, what is your fear? What are you scared of? Are you scared of being alone? Are you scared of not having a relationship? Are you scared of never loving somebody again? Because I would say that underneath all that, you've got to find that love within yourself, because if you don't find that, then you're going to end up falling into those relationships, friendships that are dysfunctional and toxic and are going to potentially hurt you. If you're not afraid to be by yourself, then you're not going to be afraid to walk away from somebody who isn't right for you. Now, it can be a little bit difficult with family, because I think a lot of the time we are compliant within families. And again, that comes down to whether or not you feel okay with that. You know, you should, if I'm honest, be able to be open and honest with a family member. But we all know, I'm pretty sure that most of us who watch these videos, we know that that's not always the case, because in families it's difficult. So what I would say is, if you are in a situation with family, that again, working on yourself, so you're giving as little as possible of yourself. Sometimes you may need or have to turn up to a family event, but you go to as least as possible. So if you're able to get out of it, so you're not putting yourself through that. If you're able to speak out and speak to the person and tell them how you feel, that is always going to be beneficial. Be honest, open. If the person doesn't respect that, then that's on them. I know it's not as easy and cut and dried as that. That's why always when you're working on yourself, you're working on your inner strength to be able to have the courage and fortitude to be able to speak out, because you are entitled to do that. You are entitled to your own contentment and feelings. A lot of the time people feel that they're not, especially when it comes to relationships and family, but you are. But so, you know, asking yourself, you know, how compliant am I within my family? Am I always doing what they want? Am I always afraid to speak out and say, look, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go to wherever. I don't want to always come round all the time, etc. Are you somebody that feels that you've got to do that? And I understand that there's a loyalty, I really do, and it's a different between, you know, if you're busy or etc. But again, it comes down to the same thing. How compliant are you and how happy are you within that? Some people are okay with it, some people are not. You know, but it's really about you and your inner peace. You know, what are you doing to, in a sense, like I say, is fit yourself into that square peg round hole? And are you expecting that of other people? you know, it's always good to look at yourself too. You know, are you expecting people in your relationships, friendships, family, etc., to be compliant with you and your needs? You know, that to be self-reflective is not a bad thing. Are there aspects of yourself that might need changing? So I hope this video helps you, and I hope that you have, it's given you something to think about. You know, I know that, you know, doing the work that I do, I've had to go through this myself. All the time I've had to go through this. You don't get to be a psychotherapist and not do the work. So, you know, everything that I bring here, trust me, this is something that I not only do, but continue to do, because there are times when I can even mess up. So I certainly don't say this lightly, and I certainly don't say this without saying I do this too. So I hope that helps. If you've enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already and would like to do so you don't miss future uploads, I appreciate that I don't do them as often as what I do perhaps on my other channel, but I will be working on that in the future, and I will try to do more videos as I'm able to have more free time, because I do work full time as well as run the other channel. And I also answer emails as well, so I'm pretty busy, but I will try to do more videos. If you have some ideas of what you would like me to talk about, then please drop them in the comments below. If there's a video that I haven't done that you would like me to talk about, then let me know, and I will definitely put that on a list to do. If you would like to treat me to a coffee, you can. The link is in the description box below. And in the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, and I will see you in the next video. So in the meantime, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.